I love FPV, but so far I've only really done drone FPV. I'm looking forward to trying out a few other ways of exploring the world, with FPV wings and hovercraft and even a submarine maybe. Some of those you could just pick up online for a few bucks, some are not available, and some will have to be full-blown projects if at all possible. Today we're gonna check a toy grade item, namely this Eachine E016F hovercraft and drone. And as I mentioned, I mainly focus on hobby grade FPV drones, and I don't normally deal with these type of toys, but I did purchase this hovercraft and I was pleasantly surprised, and I think it's worth sharing my experience for a number of reasons. First and foremost, winters in Finland are long and brutal, and there is little chance for flying, but there is plenty of chance for building projects. One project on my list was to try to make an FPV RC snow glider / hovercraft. I already have my hands on this GEP RC hovercraft foam frame, and this project is coming very soon to the blog and to the YouTube channel, so stay tuned. But while I figure out how to put together my own craft, and while waiting for the snow to come, it's been really like record high temperatures in Finland and we still don't have any snow, which is quite bizarre. I bought one of these ready to zip around cheap hovercraft just to see what they're all about. So let's have a look at what you get in the box. You get a couple of those 1S 350 mAh Eachine batteries. One of them is already mounted on the drone. You also get some tools and spare parts, a screw, 4 spare props, a prop remover tool, a mini screwdriver, USB battery charger, a manual, radio controller, and of course the hovercraft itself. A nice and very helpful touch is that the transmitter comes with this cardboard overlay with all the button functions, which makes it very easy to get started, but also provides a quick reference whenever you forget which button does what. The transmitter takes in 2 AA batteries, and here is the hovercraft itself. It has 4 Lego studs on the top, in case you want to mount a Lego figure. The back motors are upright at a 90-degree angle to the front motors, and this is how the hovercraft looks. The small hole in the middle is where you can find the screw that holds the drone mounted to the frame. The setup is quite straightforward. To get started, first place 2 AA batteries in the transmitter. You will have to undo the screw on the battery bay. Next, let's undo the screw on the bottom of the hovercraft frame to release the drone and access the battery. Then you need to change the battery via the provided USB charger. When the LED goes off, your battery is full. Then you want to install the battery back to the drone, and then the drone back to the hovercraft frame. That's it. So how do we arm the quad? First, turn on your transmitter and plug in the drone battery. Then you want to move the left stick, the throttle stick, all the way up, then move it all the way down, and at this point the drone will arm. From this point on, moving the throttle stick will actually make your drone move. One of the nice little things about this little hybrid craft is that it comes with 3 modes for moving around. It has a ground, water, and air mode. You can tell which mode you're in by the color of the front-facing LED. If it's in red, it means that you're in drone flight mode. Green stands for ground hover mode, and then the blue is for water hovercraft mode. So how do we change modes? To go between the different modes, just press the left trim button under the throttle stick. This will cycle between the different available modes. If you're gonna fly in drone mode, make sure you have removed the hovercraft frame, snap back the motors such that all motors lie on the same plane, and make sure that the front LED is in red, then you're good to go. For the other two modes, you want to make sure that you have mounted the drone to the hovercraft frame and secured it down with the screw, and then make sure that you are in green mode for ground hovercraft or blue for water hovercraft. So how did the Eachine E016F fly? Not bad for a toy. Am I impressed? Not really. Is it better than flying FPV drones? Not really. Can you mod it for FPV? Possibly. But the extra weight is only going to make the flight characteristics even worse. So I don't know if there's any point in doing that. But here's what's good about it. It's a good craft for bringing people into the hobby and making them familiar with drones and less intimidated in drones. I had a ton of fun flying this around with my son, and he's way too young for flying anything on his own just yet. But this, with my supervision and of course my hands at the controller at the same time, was something we could do together, and we had a lot of fun while staying safe. And even though this is just a cheap toy that flies suboptimal, it was awesome to see how it piqued his interest. I did really like the hovercraft experience, however. It's also a fun thing to do together with my son, and I can absolutely let him control the craft on his own in this mode. He's having a ton of fun driving it around, and the craft is surprisingly controllable. We even created like a small track around the house that we could follow. I think the Eachine E016F is a pretty nice little toy to bring in people around you in the hobby. And it's great for little and big kids. It's really cheap and it performs fine. It's not one of those toys that you would just try out and toss in the garbage because it doesn't move around at all or it's way too hard to control. Controlling, especially in hovercraft mode, especially on hardwood floor, is pretty good. In fact, it even goes on some carpets, which is definitely appreciated. But at the same time, this is still just a toy, and so long as you don't expect miracles out of it, you'll have a good time. My ultimate goal is to try and build a fun FPV snow glider, and I'll be using this Gap RC hovercraft foam frame to build it. I'd also like to use brushless motors for that build and keep the weight down. Very curious to see how it goes, and the video for that should be coming out to the channel at some point next month, so subscribe and stay tuned. As always, thanks for watching and happy flying! Throttle all the way down.
Like this?
Yeah, and then half throttle up. Very good.